What if a gamma ray burst, one of the most powerful explosions in the universe, suddenly hit Earth? Imagine a flash of energy so intense it could strip away our atmosphere, destroy the ozone layer, and irradiate everything on the surface. Within minutes, skies could glow with a deadly light, and the heat might ignite fires across continents. Life as we know it would be under immediate threat. Crops would fail, animals would die, and humans exposed to the burst would face lethal radiation. Even the oceans and atmosphere wouldn't fully protect us from the consequences. Stick around because by the end, you'll see how this cosmic event could reshape our planet and why survival wouldn't just be difficult, it could be almost impossible. I'm Harris, and you're watching What If Harris, where we explore human survival in extreme scenarios. Today, we're imagining the terrifying impact of a gamma ray burst hitting Earth. We'll explore how humans would react, what short-term and long-term effects would follow, and whether any chance of survival could realistically exist in the face of this cosmic catastrophe. A gamma ray burst, or GRB, is one of the most powerful explosions in the universe, releasing in seconds more energy than our sun will emit over its entire lifetime. These bursts occur when massive stars collapse into black holes or neutron stars collide, sending focused beams of high-energy radiation across space. If one of these beams were aimed at Earth, the effects would be immediate and devastating. Unlike a meteor impact or volcanic eruption, the damage wouldn't come from heat or debris, it would come from energy so intense it can penetrate the atmosphere and break apart molecules, including those that protect life. The first line of defense, Earth's atmosphere, would be partially effective but not enough to fully shield us. The gamma rays would strike the upper atmosphere, stripping electrons from molecules and breaking apart oxygen and nitrogen. This chemical destruction would lead to massive depletion of the ozone layer, which normally blocks harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun. Within hours or days, life on the surface would be exposed to intense UV radiation, causing widespread burns, blindness, and damage to plants and crops. Food chains would almost instantly collapse as marine and terrestrial life suffers the combined effects of radiation and chemical disruption. Humans caught outside during the initial burst would face lethal doses of radiation. The gamma rays are energetic enough to penetrate tissues, damaging cells, DNA, and organs within minutes. Even in shelters, long-term survival would be threatened by the after effects, radiation poisoning, food scarcity, and a climate altered by chemical changes in the atmosphere. The heat from the burst itself wouldn't incinerate cities, but it would trigger fires and destabilize weather patterns, making storms more extreme and unpredictable. The oceans and soil would offer some buffering, but not enough to prevent global consequences. Phytoplankton in the oceans, which produce much of the planet's oxygen, would die from radiation exposure, reducing breathable air over time. Crops and forests would fail without protection from UV rays, and human populations dependent on agriculture would face starvation. Essentially, a gamma ray burst doesn't just harm humans directly, it dismantles the systems we rely on to survive. In short, humans cannot naturally withstand the effects of a GRB. Our bodies are designed for the protection Earth's atmosphere normally provides, and a burst strong enough to hit Earth directly overwhelms that shield. Survival isn't just difficult, it's a fight against the breakdown of the entire ecosystem, against radiation that penetrates everything, and against the collapse of the climate and food systems we depend on. This scenario shows just how fragile life is on a cosmic scale and how much our existence depends on the protective layers of our planet and the universe around us. The moment a gamma ray burst hits Earth, the effects would be both immediate and invisible. Unlike a meteor strike or a storm, you wouldn't see it coming as a physical wave of destruction, but your body would still be under attack. Within seconds, gamma rays penetrate the atmosphere and begin stripping electrons from molecules, creating highly reactive particles called ions. This ionization process breaks down the ozone layer, the shield that normally protects humans from UV radiation. Even in cities or homes, the air itself becomes dangerous to breathe as chemical reactions generate toxic compounds and alter atmospheric composition. Within minutes, the first human reactions to exposure would appear. Gamma radiation passes through the body, damaging cells and DNA. Nerve endings would be affected almost instantly, causing confusion, nausea, and disorientation. The brain, highly sensitive to radiation, struggles to maintain normal function, leading to headaches, dizziness, and impaired cognitive ability. Skin, normally a resilient barrier, would begin to suffer from invisible burns at the cellular level, weakening tissue and blood vessels. Eyes could be damaged by secondary UV exposure, making vision blurry or painful. As hours pass, the effects multiply. Blood cells die faster than the body can replace them, reducing oxygen transport and weakening the immune system. Internal organs, from the heart to the kidneys, experience molecular damage, impairing function. Lungs, already stressed by altered atmospheric chemistry, begin to struggle as oxygen delivery falters. Any unprotected human outside shelters faces near certain death from combined radiation and UV exposure. Even underground or in reinforced buildings, long-term exposure to contaminated air and food sources would lead to serious illness or death over days and weeks. Environmental impacts compound the crisis. The ozone depletion allows sunlight to reach the surface at lethal intensities, burning crops, forests, and ocean surface ecosystems. Marine life suffers as phytoplankton and small organisms die, collapsing the base of the food chain. Temperature fluctuations occur as the atmosphere becomes chemically unstable, leading to unpredictable weather patterns. Violent storms, sudden heat waves, and rapid cooling events could occur regionally. Winds carry radioactive and chemical particles across continents, exposing more populations to harm. Emotional and societal impacts would be immediate. People would panic as communications fail and basic services collapse. Anxiety, fear, and confusion rise as communities realize that even being indoors is not completely safe. Attempts to flee or migrate would be fraught with danger, as radiation exposure is invisible and unpredictable. Food and water shortages become critical within days as agriculture fails and ocean ecosystems collapse. Social structures break down under the pressure of survival instincts. Over weeks, only humans in highly protected environments could hope to survive. Underground bunkers with filtered air, advanced water and food systems, and shielding from radiation could sustain life for months. Technology would be critical. Air purification, climate control, and renewable energy sources would determine who survives. Even then, recovery would be slow and uncertain. Any lapse in protection could be fatal, and long-term radiation exposure might lead to mutations or cancer in those who survive. In essence, a gamma-ray burst doesn't just harm humans directly, it dismantles the systems that sustain life. Minute by minute, cells break down, ecosystems collapse, and the climate destabilizes. Human bodies cannot naturally resist the radiation, and civilization itself is thrown into chaos. Survival depends entirely on foresight, advanced technology, and isolation from the damaged environment. For most of the planet, the outcome is grim. Only small, protected pockets of humanity would endure, forever reminded of the fragile shield the Earth normally provides against the forces of the cosmos. Surviving a gamma-ray burst hitting Earth is almost unimaginable, but if we consider theoretical strategies, a few options might offer a slim chance. The most important factor would be shielding. Gamma rays are extremely energetic and can penetrate most materials, so ordinary buildings, clothing, or natural shelters wouldn't offer real protection. Survival would require deep underground bunkers made of dense materials capable of absorbing radiation, combined with airtight filtration systems to ensure the air remains free of harmful particles. Even brief exposure outside these shelters could be fatal. Access to clean water and uncontaminated food would be critical. With oceans and crops exposed to radiation, surface water could be unsafe, and agriculture could fail due to UV damage. Underground reservoirs, hydroponic farms, and carefully sealed food supplies would be necessary for long-term survival. Renewable energy sources like solar panels or geothermal plants could maintain life support systems in isolated shelters, while drones or automated machines might handle tasks outside the protective zones. Protective suits could help during brief excursions, but no current technology could allow humans to roam freely in a gamma-ray bombarded environment. The suits would need to shield against radiation, UV exposure, and toxic chemicals, essentially functioning as mobile, self-contained bunkers. Even then, survival would be temporary and limited to essential tasks. Some futuristic adaptations might improve chances further. Genetic modifications or medical interventions could make humans more resistant to radiation or accelerate recovery from cellular damage. Artificial blood substitutes and enhanced organ function could help the body cope with limited oxygen and radiation stress. Cryogenic or suspended animation techniques could allow humans to wait out periods of extreme exposure, though these remain experimental and untested on a large scale. What's impossible, however, is surviving in the open world without protection. Gamma rays penetrate cells, damage DNA instantly, and weaken vital organs. The ozone layer would be destroyed, leaving the surface exposed to lethal ultraviolet radiation. Crops, forests, and ocean ecosystems would collapse, causing widespread famine. Weather patterns would destabilize, producing extreme storms and temperature fluctuations. Even with technology, humans could not restore these systems quickly enough to survive without strict isolation and control. In essence, survival is only possible by creating highly controlled, shielded environments where the body, air, and food are protected from radiation. Life outside these bubbles would be impossible, and even in them, every day would require careful planning and constant vigilance. Humanity could endure, but only in small, isolated pockets, relying entirely on technology, preparation, and ingenuity. A gamma-ray burst would remind us that the universe is full of forces far beyond our control, and that our survival depends not just on our skills, but on the protective layers Earth provides, layers we often take for granted. A gamma-ray burst hitting Earth would be a catastrophic event unlike anything humanity has experienced. Within minutes, radiation would penetrate the atmosphere, the ozone layer would be destroyed, and UV exposure would threaten life on the surface. Crops, oceans, and ecosystems would collapse, and humans exposed without protection would face lethal radiation almost instantly. Survival would be limited to those inside heavily shielded underground bunkers, relying on technology to maintain air, water, and food. Life outside these controlled environments would be nearly impossible, and even in them, every day would require careful planning and constant vigilance. This scenario reminds us how fragile our existence really is. The Earth provides layers of protection, from the atmosphere to the ozone, that we often take for granted. Without them, even advanced technology and human ingenuity can only offer temporary refuge. It's a humbling thought. In the vast scale of the universe, forces far beyond our control can threaten life in an instant. It makes you wonder, how well prepared are we for cosmic events we can't see or prevent? If this scenario sparked your curiosity, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more explorations of extreme what-if situations where science meets survival in the most unexpected ways.